Welcome into the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard, week 6 of the high school football season. We're going to be running down all those scores in a few minutes, but I told the boss he had to come on tonight because guess what? Yeah, he was just like, oh, yeah, you're crazy. You had one guy from McDonald's showed up, had a pretty good game, didn't he, DJ?
Drew Zajac, 5 touchdowns. I think he's only a sophomore. The kid's unbelievable, Mike. And I got to see him for the first time in person. I've been able to kind of watch from afar. And he was a big dog earlier this season. Family loves YSN. I got a text message from his mom saying how excited she was that I got to be at this game and Chris got to be at this game. I'll tell you what, at 3-2, what, 4-2 now? What's McDonald? 4-2. They're for real.
4-2 now.
They're for real. I really think that McDonald is starting to come back. Dan Williams football that we all know and love for the past 7 years ish here at YSN. It's back, and Drew Zajac's the real deal. They've got another like 1A quarterback in Puckett, Kyle Puckett, I think is his name. He can sling the ball around. But, it's the same option plays that have been so good in the past for Dan Williams quarterbacks. And Drew Zajac has bought in, and I think the community is going to rally around number 10.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought he had a good game. I loved the call you had there. It's almost like you were sitting in the stands or something. But I'll tell you what. See, you overcame and conquered tonight. You got to see a great football game. The thing I love about McDonald, while we say they're getting better and stronger, one thing has never changed. That wing tee, they run it to perfection.
Yeah, and I think the thing that option, I think more than the wing tee, what we saw tonight was this. It was like a triple option. Run, pass, and the quarterback had every option. It was Zajac. So it was really exciting to see what they were able to do offensively against a team in Waterloo that I'll give them a lot of credit too, Mikey. They never gave up. They never threw in the towel. They in the late in the third quarter and when the fourth quarter went to the mercy clock. So I give Mike DeVries a lot of credit with what he's been able to do with his program as well. There's a lot of kids that don't have a lot of give up inside of them. So you look at McDonald, they're on the rise, and I think the whole MVAC, it's a big conference. It's 16, 17 teams in that conference, and I think that there's not a whole lot of weak spots in the MVAC this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, that was a good one where I think you'll see McDonald's starting to churn out. They got some big games on here every next, so we'll see how everything just shakes out for them. And yeah, Waterloo team, they are scrappy. I thought they put in a good effort. Great call though, man. We love you. Drive safe, and we'll see you when you get here to the mothership. All right, so there you have it.
Now let's go to Eric Hughes.
Eric Hughes, you had a great ball game tonight. Lowville, Mineral Ridge. How are they going to stop Mr. Ian Erb? I'll tell you what, those Rockets look pretty good out there tonight.
Yeah, they look great tonight. Ian Erb was he's obviously the X factor on McDonald's offense. Or why did I say McDonald? Mineral Ridge, I'm sorry. They play McDonald next week.
They're right next to each other. I understand.
That, and you just got done listening to us talk about McDonald. So it's a Freudian slip there.
Yeah, but anyways, I was saying, Lowville did a great job stopping the run tonight. Obviously, Ian Erb, they usually go to him in the backfield. He did have the one rushing touchdown. He caught a passing touchdown as well. Obviously, very hard to stop. He had the 6 touchdowns last week. But I think overall, Lowville did a great job containing him.
I think the big thing I looked at early on, this game was scoreless into the second quarter. But once the Rockets offense kind of clicked, they took off.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was kind of expecting to try and reestablish the running game. I mean, obviously, they have a dual threat quarterback, Michael Balone. They have 2 great backs in Gino Perry and Tino Rivera Casio. But it was really all about the passing game tonight. Michael Balone had 4 touchdown passes. 2 of them were to Braylon Dabney, and then Matt Lucille Lynn Esselwine also caught one. but it's good to see the
Is that your
passing
big
game's
dog
finally getting going for
nomination?
them. Yeah, it is a
I think
big
that's a
dog
big dog
nomination.
nomination right there.
It is.
How about Mike Balone? You think you're done with the Balone name, and then all of a sudden, no,
We got one more.
We got some more in the cannon.
Yeah.
And here comes. What a shadow to live up to, but he's doing a good job first-year varsity starter.
Yeah, one Balone to another. Also, shout out to Michael Balone's dad. He hooked me up with free cavatelli from the concessions before the game.
If you, no wonder you keep going back to Lowville.
No wonder you want
to
Trust me, it's the Hard Rocket Cafe, as it is called. Make sure you try that wedding soup.
You ever been to a Lowville game?
Colder?
If you've never been to a Lowville game and I've been watching, I definitely recommend to go. Best concessions in the 330 for sure.
Absolutely. I'll give you that one. Hey, we appreciate you checking in with us real quick tonight. We're loaded up. There's weeks we can't get anybody to call, and tonight we're loaded up. Eric, thank you. You had a great game. We're going to hop over to Ty now.
For sure.
Hop in, Ty. Ty
What's
Bartel
up?
Joining us from the Millennium Falcon.
Hello, my friend.
Hello. What's up, guys?
So,
pretty fun one tonight.
You had a fun one, but not one that you like because normally you're with Fitch. But boy, that Ursuline team, they're pretty good.
I wouldn't necessarily say I don't like that Ursuline team. I like that Ursuline team a lot. I like what they're doing over there. I think Coach Reardon has this team may very well be the most disciplined team I've seen out of Coach Reardon in the last few years. And I mean, you talk about from the snap onward, like these guys know where they're supposed to be. They do their job and they do it well. And I will say this, never having a chance to see Ursuline this year and seeing what Jack Erickson do, which by the way, that hurdle play, taking it to the house, that might be an SC top 10 play tonight too after that. But that play aside, his managing style, the way he can manage a game for 4 quarters is something that I find super impressive. He plays beyond his years. He has great decision making. And I mean, you look at his numbers too. They tabulate QBR rating. He has a 147.8 QBR rating through the first 5 weeks of the season coming into tonight. It'll probably add some more tonight as he played another great game too, but he really is. He's an X factor, and that defense for Ursuline was an X factor tonight.
The thing that impressed me the most was anytime Fitch would punch back, they answered. They took it, and then they just answered. I thought just an overall, that was 48 minutes of solid football from the Irish tonight, and they had to have it against a team like Fitch.
It absolutely was. And you want to talk about TJ Parker being a gambler. I think Dan Reardon out-gambled the gambler tonight. And you talk about like the decisions he had going for it special teams wise. 4th down, he elects to run it. 4th and 9 with his running back, Christian Lynch. They pick up a first down there. Out of the second half, they decide to go for an onside kick. They recover it, and they take that possession away from Fitch out of the gates in that second half. And you talk about, as I'm just losing my mind over here, you talk about the way that the Irish defense dominated this game. It was a 4-quarter effort. From the first play of the game where they returned that kickoff for a touchdown, the Irish never looked back. The defense got the points they needed. They knew they were playing from in front, and they were playing with a ton of confidence from that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're fun to watch. And it's DJ put me on the spot back on week 1. He said, give me your team that you think. And I told him back in week 1, I was riding with the Irish. Not to disrespect to any other team in our viewing area, listening area, whatever. There's just something I liked about this team, the way they finished up last year. And I thought they had some unfinished business. And that's kind of that chip on the shoulder that I see. And Reardon getting them to buy in to just be where they need to be every play, being disciplined, like you said, it all works as a solid package.
And I recommend going and listening to the interviews you'll see on the YSN stories after the games too, because I talked with Coach Reardon, and he really mentioned one of the things with Jack Erickson is his ability. He gained that ability to slow the game down a lot towards the end of last year, and he carried it over into this season this year. And it's really making all the difference in this game. And you can tell by the way he plays too. It never seems like you can get him. It never seems like he's frazzled. And disrespect to that Irish team from 2 years ago, because I saw that Irish team play a lot of games from 2 years ago that went to state. this might be a team that's a little bit better than that team from 2 years ago, and they might be making another trip to Canton.
Someone that they didn't have back then, and they made a big play in this game, D.C. Farrell. That catch that he made with the slant route, he broke like 3 tackles and ran for a huge touchdown. That's yards after catch, baby. That's those yak yards, and he's really good at those.
He is literally like a duct tape for any part of the field, right? He's the do-all, right? He will fix anything that you need him to. An ultimate athlete that can play anywhere, that can produce anywhere too. DC Farrell has been a special talent. Came to the Irish in his sophomore year. They've kind of utilized him as that athlete, and he has done nothing but produce since he's been in that spot. So credit to DC Farrell, another big catch for him, and he makes an impact for the Irish once again.
Perfect, man. We appreciate it. And I'm sure, TJ, if there was ever a team that you look at a loss, Fitch will learn from this one. I think we lost them.
We might have lost time, but we have Michael Janaki in the bullpen.
Ty, we appreciate it, man. Drive safe. We will talk to you soon. Now we're going to bring in a guy who saw a lot of offense very early and often down there in West Branch.
One-sided offense.
Yeah, it was all one-sided. The field was really tipped. West Branch had 49 points in the first quarter, Michael. And I kept thinking to myself, I knew you were doing the game, and I'm like, he doesn't miss the quarters. Is it? And then I'm like, wow, they're still going the same way. What was it about the Warriors tonight? I know Minerva is a struggling football program, but when you put 49 points up in the first quarter, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, West Branch started out pretty strong tonight. I think a lot of people thought, when with the absence of Drew DeShields, that they would have kind of a lull at the quarterback spot, but Bo Allisauce has stepped in and he's done an outstanding job. He's got an arm on him, and you don't just see one receiver, catch the football. He likes to spread it around, and I certainly think that's what makes West Branch so dangerous.
Yeah, for the first couple of weeks, it was Joey Jackson. Last week, it was Jeremiah that was catching a lot of stuff. Now it's a mix of both. He's got a lot of weapons.
He really does, and Bo Allisauce came out halfway through that second quarter, and Jeremiah Thomas, actually the backup quarterback, first play from scrimmage, just took it into his own hands and put a big play on the ground by himself into the end zone. Watching him play, he has some of the quickest feet I think I've ever seen from a player in West Branch. Certainly going to be happy to have him for 2 more years.
Yeah, absolutely. And was there any school records? The 49 in the first quarter had to be a school record, Michael.
And in the first quarter was certainly a school record. And then I'm pretty sure, now I had to double check on this, but I'm pretty sure Eliza Hurst, the West Branch kicker, broke the record for most extra points made in a single game. She had 10 extra points, didn't miss a single one. So she's been rock solid this season as well for the Warriors.
Not the record we expected, but we'll take the extra point record too. We'll take it. Yeah. We love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect night. You can't beat it. So we do appreciate you calling in. I know it was a lopsided score, but boy, you had a lot of fun calling that one, didn't you?
We have bad luck.
Struggled the past couple of years, but they're starting to they're pretty good this year. And then I think the big game West Branch certainly has circled is against the Lions. That's going to be the premier matchup of the season.
All right, man. We appreciate it. Drive safe. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Michael Janaki. We had a slew of announcers join us. We want to thank all of them for their time for sure, making this scoreboard show a little bit more than just seeing me and Mike's face the whole time.
Yeah, it's the first time you got to see our face tonight, so I'm still ugly. It's all right. All right, so we're getting ready. Got to bring up
Let's bring up the scoreboard, right?
The Burnett Pools
Spa and hot tubs.
There you go.
Can't leave that out because we're getting ready for the colder seasons where you want maybe a spa and a hot tub a little bit more than you want a pool.
Boy, that would feel good on my back.
All right, let's share the screen, get it up on StreamYard here. So while I'm doing that, what a great night of football. Like week 6, sometimes you get a little bit more blowouts towards the middle of the season, and we always have our handful.
We had some, but I'll tell you what, game of the night, without a doubt, United Lisbon.
Oh
My gosh. Comes down to basically United scores. Do you kick the extra point, go for 2? They decide to go for 2. Didn't work. Got the onside kick, but then an interception ends any hopes.
Hunter Daly was a monster. He had the tackle that stopped the 2-point conversion, and then he had the interception that sealed the deal for Lisbon.
Yeah, so you can't beat that. And, some other games we looked at that we thought were going to be good. South Range, 27 straight now in conference play.
It was good on the scoreboard, but, South Range controlled the clock so much. Really, once they had a 2-score lead, it was over.
Yeah, and they opened the door for Poland. They had a turnover late in the first half. They get a turnover in the end zone. Same thing in the second half and turn away the Bulldogs again. They held a very potent Poland Bulldog offense to 7 points tonight. That tells me how good that defense is.
They took away the run. They made Poland have to pass the ball in pass situations, and that's not where you want to be if you're Poland. When Poland passes, they're in those run situations where they catch people off guard. They're not, the best at passing in pass situations like most teams that run that kind of offense you can say about.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, we'll run down the scores here on the scoreboard. What we'd like to do, because of the way it works, we're going to go all the way over.
Yep, we'll go all the way
down,
over.
and then because that way we'll have all 3 scores up of the first 3 columns.
Yep, we'll go all the way over. We'll go straight down, and then we'll go to the other one. So we'll start with Conneaut Jefferson.
Well, I can start with that, and I can update that to be a final. It's 47-22 in favor of Conneaut. They come away with the win against Jefferson. I'll say that again, 47-22, Conneaut, the winner. Edgewood losing to Geneva. We watched that game a good bit. That Geneva team's pretty good. They put up some points. They did them quick, and they win that one.
You see how jacked that eagle is in their logo? There's a reason for that.
Yeah, and he's not just eating.
No.
He's pretty proud tonight. Girard, this was a game you and I talked about right when we first went on the Audible Call tonight, which Lakeview team was going to show up. It wasn't the one that the Bulldogs needed.
Tough 2 weeks. They were real close with South Range. I don't know if that loss kind of broke a little bit of their spirit a little bit to get so close to the big boys and fall just a bit short. But the 2 games after that, they just haven't looked like the same team.
Yeah, and Salem's struggles continue. They got beat by a pretty good Alliance team, and we know what's coming on the horizon. We got a West Branch Alliance game in the near future, so that one's going to be good. As Ty was on, we talked about Ursuline and Fitch. That Irish team is really good. Fitch, I think, is still really good. The Falcons will learn from this one. The Irish continue to build on, and I still say they have a chip from last year on their shoulders.
Both of Fitch's losses have been because they weren't able to finish down the stretch. It was 19-14 in this game. Ursula ends the game on a big run. And in the last game they lost, they had that big lead in the fourth quarter. So playing this consistently good football, I think, is what the Fitch bugaboo is in their 2 losses this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And then up in Champion tonight, it was all LeBray. They win that one 28-7. We had Michael Janaki on earlier. West Branch, 49 points in the first quarter. They scored 56 in the first half. Most of their starters were out middle of the first quarter, roughly. But it was 70-0 as they beat Minerva. And Chagrin Falls shutting out Orange tonight, 10-0.
They needed to, too, because Orange's defense came to play.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a football team that is improving. They just aren't seeing the results as far as wins go so far. All right. So we move along. We'll go back up, and probably the shootout of the night. If you like offense and you like points, well, you got to see plenty of it in the Cambridge East Liverpool game. As a matter of fact, that was 116 points put up on there.
I think they went over the over.
Yeah, guaranteed. 62-54, the Potters.
You need to win. You need to win bad.
If I know Coach Cusick, he is happy that they put 62 up.
But he's probably not happy.
He's a defensive guy. He is not going to be happy with that effort, but he outscored them.
Right.
And so,
you know what? And this is the true. And in games like that, it gets lost with the score. There were moments when their defense had to step up and make a play, and they did. So in those moments of the game that mattered most, East Liverpool's defense were able to make enough plays. They didn't make all the plays, obviously, giving up 54 points. But there were moments in the game that were important that the Potters made good plays on defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And then one score, I still don't have a final on it yet, but it should be over by now. But the game was delayed several minutes.
It's a very scary injury.
Don't know who it was. There was a player that left the field on a stretcher.
Yep.
So Mooney was up 28-14, and that when we started the show, there was about 4.5 minutes left to go in the game. So still waiting to get a final on that. I thought my guys were going to run it into me, but I'll bet they all ran out of here instead of running it into me. Another game, Harding beat Cheney tonight, 26-7. That game was actually stopped with 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter because the benches had cleared twice.
Things got a little chippy.
Yeah, it got a little chippy. And after the second time, the official said, we're done. That's it. So final on that one, 26-7. Crestview, we had a little Wi-Fi issue. So when the game comes on tonight, the score was 26-21 in favor of Brookfield. I'm like, wow, that's a pretty good game. Crestview scored the rest of the points.
Crestview's offense turned on with the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, absolutely. When they got connected, it worked. So
38-21 Boardman.
All right.
Mooney beats Boardman, right? Right? Yeah, that has to be.
Yeah. All right. So we can update that for you. Mooney is a winner, 38-21 over Boardman. All right. When the Wi-Fi went on, they went on and everything connected. So win there. Youngstown East, nice, impressive win over Don Community tonight.
Out of Cincinnati.
So the Bears
came all this way to get beat 48-14.
Yeah, the Bears mauled them. It's a good way to put that one. And East Palestine, they went to Southern, and that one was all Indians, 42-7. Pretty impressive win tonight for Southern.
You felt like it could have gone this way because Southern saw what East Palestine did last week against Valley Christian.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't going to sleep on them. They said, okay, this team means business. They can compete with good teams. Let's give them all their focus that they deserve. But there were a couple of unfortunate plays by East Palestine where the ball got just drilled out of the receiver's hand, popped up, and it's a pick six.
Well,
it's like, what can you do with that?
There's one early. They're driving, and it looks like they were down 21-0, but it looked like they were going to pop one in.
Right.
And that's the play you just mentioned. And that wide receiver got literally, when he turned, the defender had the perfect hit, shoulder and
Clean
ball
hit,
separated, ball up in the air. And I remember I looked at you guys and I said, hey, that's going the other way, Omaha. I'm screaming it, and we got it on. So it worked out. Springfield, very impressive. We know the match that's looming for the Tigers. Them and the Rockets.
It's coming down to Springfield and Lowville for sure.
So they are both going to hit that game pretty good. Team named Kirtland shut out Grand Valley.
You might know them.
Yeah, you may have heard of them. They've won a few state titles, I think.
Just a few. I mean, I don't think they've lost a regular season game in like 5 or 6 years.
A long time.
It's been a while.
Madison, they beat Lakeside tonight, 42-12.
We have
we got to bring him in.
Someone from the 440.
My man from the 440. Let's get Sammy on,
buddy. We'll take the.
What is going on, fellas?
Scoreboard off for a minute. We'll bring up.
There
Sam.
we go. We got him. Yeah, we got him up there so everybody can see that big smile. You know that he was at a football game. You know he loved life tonight. We're doing great here. How are you doing?
I'll tell you what, I got to watch it was a surprise, actually. I'm not going to lie. 64 points scored by PV tonight. And the reason why I say it's a surprise is, PV is a running team. So for teams who are primarily run, to go out there and get 64 points is something you don't see too often. There's just not enough ticks in the game. But when you got guys like Ryan Croston running for 5 touchdowns, Ty Vickery running for 4 or 5 touchdowns, I think Vickery ran for about 300 plus yards tonight. It was an offensive night and homecoming to boot out there in Andover.
So they're doing all this running. Were they taking timeouts? Were they running out of bounds?
So yeah, listen, there was the thing was the runs that they had tonight were all like 30, 40, 50 yard plus touchdowns. You know, each series that they had for like the first, I'd say 2 or 3 series, it was a running team that kept the ball for about 60 seconds. It was they were on one tonight. 3 interceptions for the PV Lakers tonight as well. You know, and this was a game that coming into, I think a lot of people thought was going to be a lot closer. You know, Southeast comes into this one 5-0, and PV comes into this one 2-3 heading into conference play next week. It was huge. And when I tell you that Andover crowd showed up, there was cowbells and bullhorns and whatever you can make noise with, they had it there. The stadium was electric.
Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about PV. I don't know a lot about them. I see them a couple times a year, but they're one of those teams that kind of blue collar, bring the lunch pails. Those 5 guys up front really deserve a lot of credit, don't they?
Yeah, and I did an after a post-game interview with Coach Croston out there, and that was, of course, me. I love the touchdowns. I love the big gains, and the first people he wanted to talk about were the Hogs up front. It was the Titans in the trenches. Those guys opened up huge holes, and you got, they're a team that they live and die by the run. They can pass the ball if they have to, but they really don't have to. You got guys like Vickery and Croston, who are juniors, by the way. Those guys are coming back next year. That know how to find the holes, know how to find the lanes, and they really just got to push that setup. You could tell, honest to God, from about 2 or 3 minutes into the game that this PV team was hungry. I made a joke on the broadcast. They must not have fed these kids because they were pushing these guys around like they took their lunch money.
So you talk about feeding these kids. PV is known for just being big. They always have big offensive lines, size-wise. What do they feed kids in Pymatuning Valley? We do basketball games. These kids are big in basketball, tall-wise. And then you go do their football games, and it's like, well, they might not have like all the height in the world, but they have a big bodies up front. What are they doing down there? Up there, I should say.
Listen, at first, I thought it was they must have the best nutrition plan in the state of Ohio because they've always got guys that are just monsters out there. But, I think I'm backing off of that. There's this big lake out there in Andover, the Pymatuning Lake, and I think it's in the water. I think it's in the water out there.
They're eating a lot of fresh fish.
Oh, yeah.
Corn. A lot of corn.
Yeah, they're getting all those omega-3s, and that's what they did. And, another thing tonight that was really just incredible was, they weren't scoring in 6s or 7s. They were scoring in 8s. Every 2-point conversion they went for, they got. It was a dominant rushing performance and probably the most dominant one I've seen all year.
Because of their logo, we have to make a Popeye joke, right? We have to say they're eating their spinach. I mean, they have
so I'll tell you, I did get to learn that tonight.
You got to do it.
I got to learn that tonight that their logo is actually, his name is Louis the Laker, because I thought he was Popeye too, because he looks like Popeye. Not in Andover. You get there, Popeye, like doesn't exist. It's all Louis.
He's close enough that we can make that joke.
So he's Popeye's cousin, Louis. Talk about
this is
I know you've seen all the scores.
Yeah, I think the biggest surprise, surprise for me, not really a surprise, was that Edgewood Geneva game. I think that was probably the biggest one, the one that a lot of people had eyeballs on tonight. I picked Edgewood to win because their offense is explosive, but even through talking to some of the guys on the network and my co-host Ray Torado, I said, it's either going to be Edgewood by a lot or Geneva by a lot, because it's either the passing game's going to go on fire or Geneva's going to do what Geneva does, and they're going to run the ball down your throat and keep the ball away from you. Turnovers and penalties. I got a chance to talk to Larry Jennings and Mike after the game. Turnovers and penalties absolutely killed them. It sets up for a big game next week for Edgewood. Again, there is no rest for the wicked. They got to go against a 5-1 Madison after Madison goes out there and puts a pretty big whooping on my boys from Lakeside tonight as well. And, the Jefferson game, Jefferson played the game tonight the way they've played all year. It was tough for them in the beginning. They started to come back, but, Conneaut, shout out to them because they just built a big enough lead that they could withstand the final blow.
I'll tell you what, we saw some of them games that, and I'm not afraid to admit I was wrong. I was with you. I was all Edgewood on Geneva. Geneva was impressive tonight. Jefferson, it's been a tough year for him. It's not the way they wanted to see this season go, but that Conneaut team, man, we've seen them a couple times here on YSN, and man, they come to play. Like they walk in there angry. They weren't fed for a week, and their girlfriends broke up with them or something.
I'll tell you what, Max Gleason and Wyatt Payne.
On that one.
Max Gleason and Wyatt Payne. Those two guys, Gleason is the quarterback. Wyatt is the running back. They are a pain for every defense. Yeah. They just rush so well, and they've got hogs up front. I caught a lot of flack this week because I named my player of the week this week was an Edgewood offensive line, and I had the Conneaut guys on my neck saying, hey, they're the player of the week, but we got 1,800 yards rushing. I know, guys, you guys are great. You guys have done it all year, and that's why those guys are going to be a pain for everybody. And I honestly, I love the passing game. I love to watch quarterbacks go out there and throw for 100,000 yards. But, this is football. I can love what I want to love. At the end of the day, if you can run the ball, you can win the game.
His last name's Payne for a reason.
He is a pain for defenses.
And then, with Gleason, he's just like, one of these days, Alice. One of these days.
Right in the kisser.
You was.
You bring the power in the kisser.
We appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for calling in.
Absolutely, man. My favorite show. I'll see you guys soon. I'll be watching the rest.
All right. Thanks, Sammy. He's a good dude. I love the 440. I like Sam. He is just one good dude. All right, so we'll pick up the scoreboard. You know what? Let's take a break. Come back and we'll run down all the scores because we're getting close to crunch time.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back on the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard Show.
Now you can see every school, to the smallest school, to the intermediate schools, to the schools in the outlying areas. It gives you coverage that you could just never get to before. It's something that's great to experience, and it's opened up a whole new wave of sports viewership. The possibilities are endless here at YSN. Push the envelope every day. Try something new. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, let's try another angle, and we just keep moving forward. My name is Mike Ackelson, and my sports network is your sports network.
What can you do on over 5,000 acres? At Mill Creek Metro Parks, you can discover unique habitats and wildlife, create memorable family moments, experience history, heritage, and park programs, explore scenic landscapes, take time to relax and be well, connect with nature and each other. Come see what's new at Mill Creek Metro Parks. Plan your trip now at millcreekmetroparks.org.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means taking care of our local customers.
And it's just a great feeling to put them in a vehicle and get them all excited about a new vehicle.
At the end of the day, our goal is to be someone our customers can count on.
And every day I'll go the extra mile for the community so they can trust us.
To do anything that would convenience the customer or make them feel more at home.
Realizing, number one, that we're here for them and that we're not going to go away.
That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Welcome back to the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard here in YSN, at YSN, the mothership.
The mothership in the athletic studios.
All right. We're going to run down the whole scoreboard again. So we're just going to go to the top. We'll do the side as always.
All right, we'll go to the top. We'll do the side.
3-1 time. Had some great call in tonight. Appreciate it, guys. Just a fantastic night of football out there. So we will start. Conneaut is a winner over Jefferson, 47-22 final from there. Geneva beat Edgewood, 49-14. Girard blanking Lakeview. Alliance all over Salem. Ursuline very better. Champion losing by 3 scores to LeBray. West Branch 49 points in the first quarter as they rolled a 70-0 win, and Chagrin Falls shutting out Orange 10-0. All right, so we go up to the top and we can
scroll over.
He says we got it. And probably a shootout of the night. East Liverpool beating Cambridge 62-54. Boardman losing to Cardinal Mooney tonight 38-21. And it is 26-7 Harding over Cheney. That game was stopped with 4 minutes to go because of an altercation. Brookfield falling to Crestview at home 42-26. Youngstown East beating Doane Community from Cincinnati 48-14. Southern all over East Palestine 42-7. Springfield 35-10 is a top Jackson Milton. Grand Valley shut out by Kirtland 55-0. Madison a 22-point winner over Lakeside. Columbiana 56-27 over Latonia. McDonald 30 points better than Waterloo. Niles goes to Beaver Loco, and boy, the Red Dragons, they put on a show tonight as they take this one 49-14. South Range goes to Poland. They knock the Bulldogs out of the ranks of the unbeaten as they take them down 21-7. For the Raiders, 27 consecutive league victories. That is an impressive streak. Pie Valley, as Sammy was mentioning, boy, lots of running up there tonight. 64-34, they beat Southeast. Game of the night, without a doubt, is Lisbon beating United 21-20. The Eagles scored late, decided to go for the win, did not get it, got the onside kick, but then threw an interception. So the Blue Devils, job well done there by Coach Altimore's team.
Shout out to Hunter Daly. He had the tackle that stopped the 2-point conversion, and then he had the interception that sealed the game for Lisbon.
Yeah, absolutely. Valley Christian, no problem with Wellsville tonight. They win 53-13. Canfield, nice win as they beat Dover 17-13. Cardinals starting to get that ship the way Mike Pavlansky wants to see it going as they hit to back half of the season. And then you have Struthers all over Hubbard tonight. The Wildcats looked impressive in that 41-14 win.
It sure did, and they're angry. They're an angry football team too, because they got so close last week to South Range, and they lost it in the last couple of minutes of the game. And you know, it's all about timing when you play a team. Hubbard's a good team, but when you play a team right after a loss like that, it can go sideways pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Garrettsville, Garfield, speaking of teams that took care of business all over Camel Memorial.
They haven't even been tested yet.
Yeah.
I mean, Garfield is just head and shoulders above every team they've played so far.
Pretty good. The Rockets, Lowville beating Mineral Ridge 38-21. Howland goes down to Notre Dame Cathedral Latin 42-14. Newton Falls. This game was actually very close. Liberty tacked on 3 late touchdowns. They were trailing, got the lead, got another touchdown, then got a pick 6. And it looks lopsided, but that was actually a good football game.
Liberty does what Liberty has been doing all year. They just find ways to score really quickly in bunches when you think it's close, or you think they're even in a couple of games where you thought they were out of it and they all of a sudden they're down by 1. They score really fast. They have a quick strike offense, sometimes the non-offensive touchdowns as well, and a really good performance from Liberty.
Yeah. And then Toronto, they beat Edison tonight. Nice win
close
for
one.
Toronto.
5-0 Edison against 4-1 Toronto. So it was a lot on the line, and Toronto gets the narrow victory in Edison.
It's going to be interesting to see the points when they come out from Joe Itel this week, just to kind of get an idea of where everybody's sitting. And then Fairport Harding a win over blanking Wyndham tonight, 26-0. Now we have some other scores that weren't on the scoreboard we want to hit. Chagrin, we had the Chagrin Falls, we had that. We had Fairport Harding. Mohawk, they beat New Brighton tonight, 42-0. So big win for the Warriors as they get the job done. I believe they were home in that one. Farrell beat Hickory 26-7, and Sharon shutting out Wilmington, something that does not happen very often. But 18-0 the final there, just a couple of the PA scores.
Yeah, you got to get them in,
And it's kind of me, how it is. But overall, I mean, week 6, some great games, some blowouts, some games that surprised me, some things that happened that you look at it like Valley Christian. Jason Lindsay goes over 1,000 yards rushing. Things are working. You got the Raiders with their winning streak in the conference now to 27. Does it get to 28? They've got to be ready because that bullseye in the conference is just getting bigger.
Now you start thinking okay, who's the next team that can challenge them? You start to look at the way Niles is playing right now. Maybe it's Niles. I mean, South Range, the way they're playing this year, they're not going to blow people out like they did last year. They're going to play in close games.
Yeah.
But they've proven time and time again they can win close games. They're perfectly fine with that.
Which is also good for a team, though.
Right. You get in the playoffs, you're going to play close.
You win those tight games, and all of a sudden, it's like, hey, here you go. It starts to click.
Last year's playoff run for South Range was a unicorn. You don't usually go through a state playoffs and just blow out everybody.
Yeah.
You're going to have to usually play a close game unless you're the team that they were last year. You're going to have to find a way to win close games. This time it was, hey, we have a 2-score lead. We're just going to control the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they did. They ate the clock like no other. The game went really quick because of it. It might have been one of our first finals to come in because they just held the ball for as long as they did.
Yeah, and you just look at some things and the way things are breaking down, and I'm just like, wow, this is kind of interesting.
How about though the biggest, the one of the night is right there. It's Lisbon beating United. United had the doors open for an EOAC championship. It was wide open for them, and now they're sitting there like, what just happened?
Mm-hmm. Well, and I'm looking, the way things are breaking down. And I know nothing's official yet, and I kind of pulled up my Joe Itel just because I was looking at it. If you go to Division 7 and you look at it right now, top 16 teams, correct?
Right.
Okay. From a local standpoint, Western Reserve, Springfield.
Where were they tonight? Were they off this week?
Were they off, or do they play tomorrow? Maybe.
Okay, maybe they play. I'll have to look on our schedule.
So, there's 3 teams right away. McDonald's in there. Lisbon's in there. Toronto's in there. Southern's in there. And you're sitting there like, wow. And oh, by the way,
they're at Everest area tomorrow. I don't know where that is.
But. So they still got to play yet. But you look at some of these things, and like that Division 7, I know it's 4 weeks away, folks, but
it's never too early.
It's never too early to start thinking postseason when you get to the back.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, like we're at week 7 now. Week 6 is done. This is the final stretch. This is the last turn of the Derby. This is when the teams separate themselves. So,
well, and some things to think about here. If you go up to Division 6, oh, by the way, Kirtland's in that division. So's Jackson, Milton, United, Mineral Ridge. I mean, if the playoffs started today, Brookfield, LeBray, Crestview, and Columbiana would be sitting there battling over that final spot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is before this week's all added up, but like you look at that and you think, holy cow, like this is why we love football.
It's going to be a wild west last 4 weeks of the season.
So you take it that, and then I go to Division 4. We'll add some more teams in there. Cardinal Mooney, Niles, Struthers, West Branch, Poland, Beaver Local, Edgewood, Girard, all sitting in what would be potential playoff position. East Liverpool, Hubbard has struggled. Right now, they're sitting as a 16th seed.
Right. They'll probably fall after the loss to Struthers.
Well, they're all, according to him, he's got them added in here, but
I
don't know if somebody plays below them yet or anything. But like all of a sudden, you look at that 4 and you're just like, wow.
You know
Yeah.
who's in 4? It's that Urson Irish team, right?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
They're pretty good. You know,
Well, no, they're in 3.
they're in 3. Oh yeah, okay.
They're in 3, and they're
Man, these
sitting there,
divisions
and
change
you're
so
like,
much.
you're going, holy cow, you know. And I know Dover's struggling 2-4 this season, but for Canfield, that was a win they needed
They
tonight.
need to win. I think Canfield needed to win really bad, and I think who else was I talking that needed to win?
Cheney,
Cheney needed to win.
yeah,
He didn't get it.
didn't get it. So, but you know, things are looking good. I mean, it's going to be a dogfight coming down these next 4 weeks. All of a sudden, you know, when people
East Liverpool, they're the ones I was thinking. They
Yeah.
need to win real bad this week.
Yeah.
After back-to-back losses.
Yeah. So that gets them back on track. But like, I can't wait. I mean, I start looking ahead now. That's where we're at. So week 6 is in the books. We had a great week. Fist bump.
Let's do it.
So we're good. Fantastic games. We're going to have a lot of games again for you next week. We do appreciate you chiming in here because one that we can already look at, Mike Sweenhart put it up for us.
Yeah.
That Valley Christian Lisbon game becomes real big next week. So,
He's always looking ahead, you know. And he probably put this up before I found it, the Western Reserve.
Oh, just because I said, Hoban plays Walsh Jesuit next week. Oh, by the way, Ursuline plays Akron St. Vincent St. Mary's. That Poles Niles game should be good. Girard South Range. Can Girard's offense, and Western Reserve Springfield. Just to mention a few, and thanks, Mike, appreciate it. But and I laughed. Somebody said, "Hey, remember when we said they weren't fed today?"
Right.
Chet Paul chimed in and he says, "We fed them lasagna."
And we fed them lasagna.
I'm not sure if I'd want to eat lasagna before playing a football game. Appreciate the shout out to Chet, and it's all good. So, but we appreciate you joining us for the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard. Join us for the Audible Call, tuning in and just watching your favorite team on YSN. That's what it makes it. We're one big happy family here. Can't wait to get back at it for week 7. Wow, that sounds weird to say. Week 7.
Football is a monster.
And that's before the month of September ends.
That's strange, man.
Yeah. It's gonna
starting to get cold though. We're starting to feel it at nighttime.
Hey! I still got shorts on.
Yeah.
Easy.
We had the doors open. We had to close them today. We had said,
that's because Ryder got cold. Everybody else was willing to tough it out.
Ryder
goes, it's cold.
It's cold.
Yeah. So we're making fun of you, Ryder, because we can. But anyhow, hey, thanks for joining us. Make sure you tune in next week. We have the Audible Call starting right around 6:55. We'll get on the air, and you'll have Anthony Hartwig and myself for that. Plus, we'll be here for the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard, brought to you by Burnett Pools and Spas. That big, nice little scoreboard we get to put up for our Joe Dickey Electric